Alfred Loewenstein was born in Belgium in 1877. He worked as a banker and quickly amassed a fortune. By 1914, he was considered one of the wealthiest people in Belgium. At one point, he even offered his country $50 million interest-free in exchange for the rights to print Belgian francs. But the government declined his offer. After World War I, Loewenstein moved to England, where he became one of Europe's leading investors. By the time of his death in 1928, he was regarded as the third richest man in the world. His life was divided into two passions: his work and his love for horses. In 1908, Loewenstein married Madeleine Meissen, a very beautiful woman from a prominent European family. Their marriage was based on mutual interests rather than love. He exploited her beauty and connections in exchange for providing her with all the money she wanted to live a lavish lifestyle, buying jewelry, clothes, and even luxurious mansions. On July 4, 1928, Alfred took off in his private plane from Croydon Airport in London. The aircraft was a German-made Fokker, designed according to Alfred's specifications. It was headed to Brussels, accompanied by 6 of his closest employees: Fred Baxter, his personal driver; Arthur Hodgson, his personal secretary; Paula Badillon and Eileen Clark, company stenographers; Donald Drew, the pilot; and Robert Little, the aircraft mechanic. The plane was designed like an office and equipped with soundproofing so Alfred could discuss business without the noise of the engine disturbing him. His special seat faced the other seats in the plane. There was a door with a glass window separating the cabin from the cockpit. At the back of the plane were 2 doors, one leading to the bathroom and the other to the exit. After reaching an altitude of 4,000 feet and crossing the English Channel, Alfred headed to the bathroom. After 15 minutes, Baxter knocked on the bathroom door, but there was no response. Concerned that Alfred might have lost consciousness, Baxter broke down the door, only to discover that Alfred was not there. Hodgson then wrote a note about the situation and passed it to the pilot. The pilot made an emergency landing on a French beach, only to find it was a military zone under French control. They were immediately detained and questioned. According to French newspapers, the 6 employees told the military that they had lost their boss during the flight but did not reveal his name until an hour after their detention. The 2 stenographers were crying the entire time, Baxter's teeth were chattering, and Hodgson was sweating profusely. The French police refused to investigate the incident and did not start a search because it happened over international waters. The Belgian police took the same stance. The only person interested in finding Alfred was his wife, who wanted to secure her inheritance. She announced a generous reward for anyone who could find him. European newspapers began to spread rumors. One paper claimed a French fisherman saw a man parachuting down to a waiting yacht. Another reported that Alfred had taken a car on the French beach and fled. Yet another claimed that Alfred was never on the plane in the first place. 2 weeks later, on July 19, 1928, Alfred Loewenstein's body was found, heavily decomposed. He was wearing silk underwear, silk socks, shoes, and a watch. The body was identified by the name engraved on the watch. His family hired a private doctor to examine the body, and the results were announced 2 months later. The doctor found a large wound in Alfred's stomach. Every bone in his body was broken, and he was alive when he hit the water. The cause of death was the fall from 4,000 feet. No official investigation into the incident was ever opened, but the question that remains unanswered is, how did Alfred fall from the plane? Now, I'll mention the main suspects and some theories. The first theory suggests that Alfred opened the wrong door. Instead of opening the bathroom door, he opened the exit door and fell out. A newspaper report in the New York Times mentioned that Alfred had been confused in his final days, often going to the wrong rooms and being generally distracted. The pilot and mechanic testified in a Belgian court that they tried opening the door, and it opened easily. However, all aviation experts considered their testimony laughable and false. as there has never been another incident like this in history. Moreover, the two doors were entirely different, making it unlikely for someone to confuse them. A British Royal Air Force pilot stated that this explanation was impossible. First, the door would require great force to open mid-flight at that altitude, and even if it were opened, it would immediately close due to the air pressure. Everyone on the plane would have known due to a sudden rush of air inside the cabin. The second theory posits that Alfred committed suicide by throwing himself from the plane. It's said that he was facing a financial crisis at the time of his death. However, reports indicated that he was planning important meetings the following week and discussing future business plans during the flight. Even the documents on the plane related to future plans. This theory is also dismissed due to the reasons mentioned regarding his future business plans and the difficulty of opening the door, especially for a man of his age and health condition at the time. The third and most popular theory is that the 6 people with him on the plane killed him by throwing him out. What supports this theory is their landing on a French beach, despite an airport being only 4 minutes away, and their behavior during the investigation, as reported by the newspapers. Their testimony that Alfred was reading a book before going to the bathroom was also suspicious, as those close to him knew he despised reading. Additionally, it was well known that Alfred never drank alcohol, yet the autopsy found alcohol in his blood. The pilot and his assistant did not use the radio to report a missing person, but instead landed on the beach without any such report. It was also noted that the mechanic, Robert Little, kept the notes Alfred wrote during the flight to avoid ruling out the suicide theory, along with his and the pilot's laughable testimony that they managed to open the door. Most likely, everyone on the plane was involved in the crime or covered it up, reminiscent of an Agatha Christie novel. A related theory suggests that his wife paid large sums of money to his companions during the flight to kill him and cover up the crime, since she would benefit the most from his death and inherit his wealth. But she was already enjoying his money and getting whatever she wanted with little effort, so why would she order his murder? It's also suggested that his rivals paid for his murder, particularly 2 of his partners, as his death would earn them around $200 million. However, there is no concrete evidence linking them to the case.